Hello, my name is Allison Corman, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And today's podcast is called Let Everything Be As It Is. The other day, I was on a business call, and I've been practicing all these wonderful techniques that I've been sharing in my podcast. And I noticed when I was on the business call, I didn't like what was being discussed. I didn't like certain things that were being said. And as they were being said, I started to project into the future what this could mean for the future, what a decision could mean for the future. And I started to get really uptight. And all we were having was a discussion, but I was projecting the discussion into the future. And all of a sudden, this phrase came to me, let everything be as it is. And the minute I said that, my whole body felt relaxed. I felt so peaceful because I stopped being in conflict. We were having a conversation. There was no final decision that was being made. And the more I relaxed into it, the more the conversation was enjoyable. The more in my mind it became more about possibilities and brainstorming. It might lead to nothing. It could lead to something. But I didn't need to know in that moment. And then I just carried it with me the rest of the day. I walked into my daughter's bedroom and it was so messy, and I asked her to clean it up, and I almost couldn't even walk in there. And I felt myself starting to get uptight. But then I said, let everything be as it is. And both times I was okay. And I saw how every time I leave peace, it's because I'm arguing with what's happening in front of me, or I'm projecting what's happening in front of me into the future. For some reason, there's something so calming about this idea of let everything be as it is. And I know a few weeks ago, I did a podcast, Let It Be. But there's something about this fuller statement that encompasses the experience that we're having all day long. We don't realize all the places that we are resisting because we don't like what's happening, or we think it's going to be bad for tomorrow. And it becomes very overwhelming, and we lose our focus and we lose our place in this moment. And another thing that just happened to me yesterday, I woke up in the morning and I spoke to a friend who's a doctor. And he told me that he thinks we're going to be wearing masks in the United States for 10 years. And then I listened to the governor of the state that I live in, and he was saying how much better things are getting. And then I listened to someone who was running for borough president in my city, and he was saying how horrible things are going because the variants are here, and that's why cases are on the rise. And then I hear a friend making plans for the summer because she thinks the pandemic is going to be over. And then I speak to another friend who tells me that things will never go back to normal again. And so all day long is amazing. Just in one day, all these people had all these different opinions. And then when you hear them, you start to get very future oriented, and you start to chase things, and you start to get concerned about things, and you don't quite know how you're going to work everything out. But as I've talked about so many times before, this is beyond us. This is out of our control. And the minute I thought to myself, let everything be as it is, meaning I'm in this moment, I'm wearing a mask when I go out, the pandemic's still going on, there are also good things happening, and I'm going to let it all be the way it is. And if I have to make a plan or decision for the future, I will do that. But when I don't need to do that, I could just stay present and be with life as it's happening. And the minute we say to ourselves, let everything be the way it is, when that peace comes through us, the presence comes through us. And then we're able to focus, we're able to listen, we're able to be open, but most of all, we're able to be joyous and figure out what we want to do in this moment. It can't always be about the future. So how could you implement this? What's so good about this is you could do it anytime and anywhere. In a business meeting, at home, when you're arguing with somebody, when you're having a difficult time in a relationship, when you start getting worried about the pandemic, when you start to feel yourself in conflict, when you start to feel yourself trying to figure out something you can't know, when you're projecting too far into the future, you have no peace in the moment, just say, let everything be as it is. And just be with whatever is happening without that resistance. without that fear, without that worry. Just be with it. It is the most amazing experience. Probably one of the best feelings in the world to not be in conflict with the moment that we're in. For whatever reason it is. And believe me, I get it. There are things that happen in the moment that we don't like, that we don't want to be happening. But if we find peace with what's happening, we stay strong, we stay resilient, and we stay so alert to know what we have to do in that moment to create that better tomorrow. So it's just a mantra, and it's just something you can incorporate all day long. Let everything be as it is. And take a really deep breath and say it again. And just sit there for a little bit. If you're not busy at the time, if you're in the middle of a meeting, then you'll say it, and hopefully that'll bring you back to the present. But just spend some time with that. It is so surprising to discover how much resistance we really have. Sometimes we don't even realize it. At that meeting, I was just talking to everybody. I didn't realize that I'd given all my peace away. And I didn't realize how uptight I was and how much in the future I was. But the minute I said that, I came back to this moment. And again, this is always where we're most powerful. We are most powerful in the moment. We create in the moment. We create our futures in the moment. So it's funny. We think that we have to be thinking and worrying about the future, but it doesn't start there. It starts here, right now. But if we don't let everything be exactly as it is, we have no place solid to stand, and we have no peace. And that's the thing about this pandemic. Every single day, we could choose to try to figure it out. We could choose to worry about it. We could be afraid about it. Or we could allow it to exist because it does. And it's not that you don't try to change it in the future. But we have to see life as it is when it's happening. That is the most powerful tool that we have. If not, we're going to make ourselves sick. And we're not going to have the strength for when things do change. So strength and resilience are all born in this moment when we allow things to be exactly as they are. And sometimes, too, I like to look at it visually. Like I'll walk into a room and I'll just allow everything to be the way it is. And there's nothing I have to do. And again, if you want to clean up or you want to do something, of course, you could do anything you want to do. But don't be in conflict that the room is dirty. Don't be in conflict that something's not the way you want it to be. Make peace with it. Let everything be the way it is. And then if you want to change something, it's a choice, not a stress, not a worry, because you come from a place of peace. And then you can look at it and say, wow, I would like that to be different. There's such a difference between a like and an anger or an agitation. Let everything be the way it is. I know it's hard because you might not like what's happening, but your resistance to the moment will not change a thing. Can you take action? Sure. Can you change things? Sure. But you could still do it with this idea in mind. When we let everything be exactly as it is, we are one with the moment, we're at peace with ourselves, and we allow ourselves to be the creator of all that's possible in our lives. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can email me at Allison@AllisonCarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.